It's 10:05. Let's get this thing started. Welcome everybody to the Monday morning marketing meeting. I'm your host, Nick Love. Like me, love me, follow me right here on Fanbase. We do this call every single Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on this app. Shouts out to my guy Isaac up here on the stage. Show him some love if you can. Throw him a heart or two for providing the platform for us. He does every week and for jumping on the call with us. Man, I always appreciate when he's on. As the call implies, as the name implies, we talk about marketing strategies, concepts, ideas, things to get you creative juices flowing for the day, the week, the month, and the remainder of the year. We are in the top part of July, the latter half of 2025. So hope y'all kicked off on July 1st, and with plans to end this year strong. And I hope everything's been good thus far. We we came out of a holiday weekend, depending on who you are, and depending on how you see things. But I hope the weekend was good to you guys, and hope this week is even better. Luckily, I don't have to do this call by myself. I'm joined by some of my smart, amazing, brilliant, funny, beautiful, handsome, just all around incredible friends that I have up on the stage. So shouts out to them. Like I said, Isaac, Noel, Duran, Jermaine, Street Politician is up here. Jeff is up here. Quinn, what's up? Um, and I gotta get where's my guy Gary at? That's unusual for Gary not to be here. But and then shouts out to everybody in the audience that joins us regularly, man. I see a lot of good people in the audience that I shout out when we usually jump on. So shouts out to them. I see Said Linus down there. I see Neil, Queen Mo, what up? A few people who has jumped in the room early, man. So I know today's call is gonna be ill. Before we get started, let's get a couple of things out the way. The first thing is the campfire. Join the campfire. Top right hand side of your screen, there is a green fire and log icon. Hit that to join the camp. That'll let you know when we are kicking off a call. So if you join the campfire, you'll be a part of our crew, man. So you'll be the first to know when we get things started. And then in the bottom right hand side of your screen, there is a arrow. Hit that arrow. Share the room. Um, Share the room. Let people know that we are getting going. I am doing so at this very, very moment. So let me kind of do it now. We can all do it together, man. Make it a whole little cool project. And there goes Gary right there. All right, I just shared the room. I hope you guys did the same. Get my guy Gary up here. Um, Isaac, before we get rolling, any updates on fan base we need to know about?
We are at. Hold on, let me check my math. I'm always tripping. Let me see here. I haven't tapped into a while. We're at 12.6 million raised, and that's about it. Other than a lot of the other things that I said, I'm not talking about with regards to the development of the app. But we're rolling now. I can tell you the new additions are definitely making things happen a lot quicker, and I'm really happy for our new hires. They're doing amazing things.
Good stuff. Yeah, I saw the post about the hires. I think it was like a couple of weeks ago. I saw some that you had brought some new people in. Actually, that came from some other companies, so I thought that was pretty cool that you were
Yeah,
able to
that's what
to
the that's what
grab
the
some.
that's what the raise was about. It's about hiring exceptional talent from um, people that we might consider competitors or that have a lot of experience in the space that we do, and they're Black women, and so I'm excited.
Yeah, very very cool. A couple of things before we get into today's conversation, I want to throw at you guys. One is, as I mentioned this before, we're going to be doing a live version of this call from Comcast. We're still eyeing the first week of August. I'm getting all of these details locked in, so just bear with me. But as soon as I know, you will know. So, but I just want to give you guys kind of the heads up, and y'all kind of spread the word that we're going to do a real live in person version of this call. Like I said, hopefully in August. So we're still buttoning down some details. Also, the MLB All Star game is in town in Atlanta. So I'm going to be taking a couple people from fan base to the game with me, to the celebrity game on Saturday. So I will let you guys now. I'll come back on fan base and let you guys know how we figuring out who's gonna go and how we gonna rock. But and I'm gonna be taking a few people who want to join me to the All-Star game at Truist Park here in Atlanta this weekend. So we'll fill you guys in on that. And then also, I missed this. It's funny. I wrote an article about it on LinkedIn. I've been on fire on LinkedIn for anybody who is not following me. But if you're on LinkedIn, follow me on LinkedIn. But I wrote an article about Monday morning marketing meeting today on that app. And I realized, because I had to go back and like sift through all my old tweets and stuff. The first Monday morning marketing meeting was actually May 11th, 2020. So we kind of had a 5 year anniversary a couple months ago. I didn't even realize like when we actually started it, but it was May 11th of 2020. Gary was one of the OGs who jumped on early. Dean was one of the OGs who jumped on early. I mean, Dean is usually on this call. Um, and there's a few other people that I really, really need to connect with. But the original call, my guy Joseph, is he on here? If you see Small City Legacy um, in the audience, make sure we get Joseph up here. I know we haven't had him on. I see Hollywood down in the audience too. Let's get Hollywood up here. But
Yo,
uh,
yo.
but yeah, Joseph, Gary, Dean, who are part of the original 9 people who were on the call when we first started this thing 5 years ago, way before fan base, way before that. It was a Zoom call. On the free version of that. So that meant at 45 minutes, that should just cut us off. So we had to wrap them calls up. So real cool to kind of just reminisce on that and realize like how far we come. So yeah, kudos to us,
You've been
man.
on fire on LinkedIn, boy. Those articles.
Yeah,
You got
I'm
you got
very proud
you,
of myself.
you got to get you a Substack and a Medium and like a cool ass domain like nicksthoughts.com is available. So I just checked it for you. And
God
just
damn,
yeah, yeah.
you be on it.
Yeah, and redirect like you can connect you can, because the way it's structured like a website, and you
Mhm.
could just keep it super simple for now and just make it like a list, like hyperlinks, like a directory, because it would tap you into the SEO as well. So while you're utilizing LinkedIn as a primary platform, if somebody is happen to be on Medium and Substack, they can just see your links, and when they click the link on Substack, it would just bounce them back over to the actual LinkedIn.
Oh
So
shit. Well, there
consider
it
that.
is. You just taught me something I didn't know, man. Hope and I'm sure somebody else on this call did not know that as well. So shouts out to Duran for always providing some excellent intel on how we can, take advantage of that. Um, take advantage of all these various platforms that are out there. Y'all know, as much as I am big on fan base and I'm always touting, how great of an app this is. My thing has never really been about or, it's always been about and. So what I'm saying, I do see the value in some of the other sites, some of them, in addition to fan base. So, shouts out to what I'm saying, everybody's trying to grow their brands and build their brands and all of that, man. Like, so I'm glad that you guys are over here on this call with us. And like I said, it's always great to have y'all here. And this is where I set up shop. But yeah, just full transparency. I do still use a few of these other sites. So let's get into today's topic. Um, Essence Fest was this past weekend, and I did not attend. So I want to start the call off by saying this is not coming from firsthand experience. It's coming from the reports that came out of Essence Fest this past weekend, right? There was reports of, just logistical drama, so starting late, low attendance, less vendors, less sponsors, a lot of the things that, we've seen Essence Fest grow. A lot of us, if you've been paying attention, you've seen Essence Fest grow from a smaller festival to like the destination for like black women, right? You know what I'm saying? It's gone from just kind of a general festival to like the thing, we kind of joke about the aunties and all of that stuff that's out, but like the Essence Fest has always been an annual big deal. And for whatever reason this year, there was a decline across the board in money, funding, vendors, attendance, the whole nine. And so getting ahead of it, like I said, literally coming out of the weekend, and we've had a similar conversation about Invest Fest before. We've had similar conversations about other festivals that have taken place. Um, and I just want to get a bunch of creative minds on the phone like we do every Monday and say, all right, what can we do or what should they be doing? And maybe how some of us could like kind of tap in and help them do it. Might even be a check in for you somewhere somehow. But like, how do we help Essence Fest kind of, recapture that cachet? Now, I do want to preface this by saying that I personally am not a Essence Fest, is fucking it up. They did it wrong. Da 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 da. I think there are a ton of external factors. One being the economy. I think a lot of people lost jobs, have been laid off. Money is tighter, so I feel like that may have contributed to the low attendance. They also may have contributed to a lot of these companies, not being willing to sponsor. A lot of vendors not being able to travel and get to New Orleans this year. So, like I said, again, that is completely out of their control, right? That's not an essence thing. Um, I also think that New Orleans, I'll just say, if you ever been to New Orleans in July, it's 2,000 degrees in New Orleans. Again, they've held it there for years, but I mean, some of the hottest days I've ever experienced were in New Orleans. So New Orleans in the summertime, not ideal for me, but you know what I'm saying? Again, that's it's been there for years. So I mean, hell, they don't see the problem there and they still have the high attendance that they've always had until this year. So I do think there are a few external factors, but I do want to put some, wrap our brains around this. What can Essence Fest do moving forward from a marketing standpoint? Whether it's targeting a younger demo, whether it's tapping in other brands, whether it's reimagining the lineup. I don't know, like I said, but I really want to kind of get you guys opinions on kind of what they can do to move this thing forward, because I think Essence Fest is a valuable institution to me. Like I said, I've seen the value in Essence Fest. So just from the congregational standpoint, just getting all of those black people together in one city annually for as long as they've done it, there is value in that. People look forward to Essence Fest. And I've seen some cool activations there in previous years. Like I said, I wasn't there this year, so I can't vouch for what was or what wasn't. But I do think that the answer is not kill it and move on to the next hot thing, to me. But I want to hear what you guys think. So I'll
Has
start
it
with my
ever
people
been
on
in another
stage.
city? Has it ever been in another city?
It, to my knowledge, no, it's always been a New Orleans thing.
See, in my assessment, and Rich Dennis owns it, and he's the guy. So if he needed to add tech or venture capital, he'll be the perfect guy to actually add tech and venture capital, because he's a big VC, and any black founder that has done something in the last 10 years prior to most recently, he's invested in a lot of them. That's Delane, Rodney Williams, all of them. So he understands that part. Maybe I always consider Vegas to be a showcase a city for a lot of festivals. I can understand how they probably would think that the black flair would be taken away if they go there. But CES, I mean, you name it, all of the big shows are in Vegas. Perhaps it's time for a change of location, and that maybe people would think of it differently if they have to travel to Vegas and they already have the psychology that conferences are already in Vegas, expos, festivals, summits. That's one thing. Number two, maybe try a different pricing strategy. Partner with Casanat and all of them, and make it about the creators and how to create content online and social media. And maybe Mr. Beast or Casanat and all them could just give away the tickets. And on the back end, they covered the actual cost of the operations, because it's a premium on what Casanat may put up. So say the whole festival is 2 million, and they gather together all of those creators and say, hey, we'll sponsor it. We'll give you guys 3 million, and they can have extra capital beyond what the expenditures would be. And then they don't have to just give the tickets to random people, because you still want a certain level of quality, but they can create some form of a campaign whereby people can win the tickets, although they already know that they're giving them all away, but they can make people believe that they're actually winning them. Because one circumstance shouldn't be the measuring factor of the entirety of a particular brand. And one thing we know about America, man, every moment is a marketing moment. America literally markets people going to prison. They market people getting out of prison. America markets anything. So the proper campaign can turn this thing around. I just think sometimes we're so passionate in the black community about our people. I just looked on the site really quick. I saw Master P, Gorilla. Those are not the people. Maybe Gorilla that's different, but those are not the people to put on the forefront for these kids. And I'm saying this with a daughter that's 20. My daughter don't want to see Master P and all of them. It's crazy that I have to remind myself that I'm older now. I feel young, but I'm like, damn, my daughter's 20. Like, she doesn't know anything. To see Master P. I got a lot to talk to P about, but she's not going to a festival if P and a few other people in that age range is on the lineup. She's not interested in that. So one, highlight the idea of becoming something. So even if you bring Casanata on, it's not about seeing Kai, it's about learning how Kai did what he actually did. So move the people from the forefront and put a blank canvas of what people can become to the forefront, and then make it activity based, and perhaps make it free, and people can actually win their tickets there. I'm going on mute. And that's from my ignorance, because I'm very ignorant on the details of the Essence Fest. I'm going on mute.
So, first of all, I like the idea of moving it. I'm glad you didn't suggest Atlanta, because I'm be honest with you, as an Atlanta native, I love my city, but I am not in favor of every fucking thing, but just moving to Atlanta to be
I
held.
am.
So, and I think Isaac probably is too.
I am
No,
too.
I
So
want him here.
I
I
was
want everything here. I want the
Same
NAACP
here.
awards here. I want
yeah,
the
yeah.
BET awards
Yep.
here.
You want it all.
I want all of it here.
All of
You
it.
want it all here. You
All
want
of
it
it.
all here. But I've seen people float the idea of moving it. So I mean that seems to be a popular sentiment. And I actually like Duran's idea of kind of switching up some of the like maybe the presentations, and like I said, it may not necessarily be just all. So, and I know they have panels or whatever. I know a few people who actually had a call from me. My bad. I know that there are people who have presented that. I know people personally that presented, but there are some ways that we can kind of tie in some other cool things. Maybe make it more tech savvy, South by Southwest ish to a certain degree. Who else? Anybody else
Well,
got something they want to throw
yeah,
in?
I think that I don't think that's a good idea. The reason I don't think that's a good idea is because it's been there for so long, and not just that reason, but because you're talking about getting younger. We were talking about this in the other room. So they have an established demo that they go after. That demo spends money. That demo has money. Um, that demo also has been loyal to them for the last 20 to 30 years that the or more that the event has been the event has been in existence. The problem with that is the transition from that audience to this one is so the culture gap is so large that I don't know how that works. Meaning you have to make some transition, but it has to be a very carefully crafted transition from one to the other. And let's just be clear, while there are always gaps in transition from one audience to the other, there wasn't as large a gap from my father's audience to mine. There is a huge gulf, and there's probably a number of reasons for that. From Gen X, my audience, to even I won't even say millennial, but to Gen Z. There's a huge gap. So this audience, and in order to be able to do that, and the music is also the issue, right? So the music is part of that issue. Um, the legacy artists aren't the same as they were, and you're going to have. So what you're essentially going to have are people that one group absolutely does not listen to, and same on the other side, which is going to alienate one audience or the other. So I guess in that instance, do we say, well, listen, did you just keep catering to this audience until that event can't be done by the other? Well, that may be the reality. Some things do come to an end. So we have to entertain that as well. But for right now, their core audience is not Kai Sanat's audience. It's not even SZA. You understand what I'm saying? It's not any of even me saying that is laughable. Like that audience of people is not going to commingle to come see New Edition, Ron Isley, uh, the No Limit All Stars. That's completely different gulf between them, and they're not interested in seeing that. And nor is that audience interested in seeing the other. So there's got to be some sort of carefully crafted uh, uh, plan in order to be able to do that. And honestly, being a music person, I don't see how that works. I don't even see how that happens.
So let me
I
make sure I get it because
was
again, I saw the music thing too, and I mean, I agree. I think it's a tough thing because Duran mentioned that, like the Glorilla generation and the Master P generation is definitely there's a gap there, right? But is it possible just to kind of it's a 3 day festival, so is it possible to do the new acts on a Friday, the legacy acts on a Saturday, and maybe the gospel acts or whatever on a Sunday? Is that a compromise that kind of gets everybody what they need?
Well, I think they've done that. They've tried rather to do that, but those people are there. The money issue is also the money is also the issue because those people are also there, right? It's not like those people come for that night and then go and do nothing. They're used to come. They're accustomed to coming for. They'll buy tickets for 3 consecutive days, and they sell tickets that way as well. That's the other caveat. So they sell tickets in bundles, not just for one night apiece. But I mean, obviously, that's a logistical thing. But I mean, could that be? Yes. But you're also commingling those audiences in the same city, right? So there's a completely different way that both of those audiences conduct themselves too, in terms of the things that they enjoy. So down the street, you got a party where you got a party full of 21 or 25, 21 to 25-year-olds, and then up the street, in most of these places, you have parties for or events for people who are between the ages of 30 and 50 years old, 35 and 50 years old, somewhere like that.
I
So
think
that's a
people don't know who Essence Fest is for anymore. I think they've done a horrible
oh
job
no, they know.
marketing
So,
it.
so
Yeah, they
Like
absolutely know.
the older aunties are like, oh no, I'm
Hold on,
phased
Quay.
out. The
all right,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
yeah, go ahead.
yeah.
Oh, the coming up aunties are like, I don't know if I'm old enough for it yet. And then Gen Z is just like, this is not for me at all.
So,
They started promoting way too soon or way too late. And people didn't even know who the lineup was. And it's like, well, Essence Fest is in a month and we don't even know who it is. So I think they need to start earlier. They need to figure out who their target audience is. And then they relied way too much on influencers. And I know a lot of the people, like I was just following threads and just seeing what people were saying about Essence Fest, and a lot of people felt very disconnected. I think originally it was just about community and coming together. And then this year, I saw a lot of sentiments about it feeling very segregated, very like elitist, and like people weren't feeling it. So I think they just really need a whole rebrand, and they need to figure out who Essence Fest is for.
so
They know who Essence is for. That's the
Yeah.
clear part.
let me
So
let
we
me
know who.
let me
Go
pose
ahead.
it. So with regards to you two guys, is really really great points, and their pivot there's an obvious need for a pivot, right? No one knows who Essence is for. They market it, too late or too shabby or not to the right people, so on and so forth. What about the Revolt pivot? Like did they ever? Correct me if I'm wrong, because I like Duran said, I'm completely ignorant with regards to Essence and how they operate. But Essence has a brand pivot. Have they even like tried to lean into that Revolt situation where they're considering putting up live content, having segments, like producing segments with like live hosts and people that can actually take hold of like people who are not influencers, because that people can understand that using influence feels like a shortcut. But if you're doing like Revolt and you're putting together actual segments and TV shows and hiring people as hosts and turning them into personalities and so on and so forth, and people are used to those people are who get us to go to Revolt Festival. Like, again, I don't know where Revolt Festival is right now.
So let's be clear. Let's correct the record on some things. First of all, we know who Essence Fest is for. We know who Essence Festival is for. It has a 20 to 25, 30-year history. So we know who it's for.
It wouldn't be in shambles
so-
if people knew, if we
Well-
the customers and consumers knew who it was for. It wouldn't
Well,
be. It would have
yeah,
been the
so-
same as other years.
let's give
Shambles is a strong word.
let's give
Yes.
let's give that some context as well. It is not in shambles. It has a PR problem, but that is different than it being in shambles, right? It's still heavily patronized. There are still people that it probably didn't do as well this year based on some significant things that happened. Target was one of the major sponsors, if not the major sponsor. So that provided some difficulty in terms of marketing and promotion. You have to put Target on everything that you promote. And while there's a big giant gulf between what is the community and Target right now, that was because they had an existing deal. That deal has existed for the last 4 years. They're a title sponsor. So they had to adhere to the deal that they had already originally done. Now this came in between that, so that probably made marketing very difficult because they had to attach Target to everything. So that was that, and we talked about that in the other room as well. They had to rely heavily on influencers because of that. So it was very difficult to market in that way. But it is not in shambles. Let's be clear.
But there is
Let me also add this. Let me also add this key point. Looking at the timing of what's going on in this country has a lot to do with in terms of the numbers changing, because a lot of big money earners lost their jobs, were laid off prior to Essence. A lot of that economic hit definitely impacted Essence core crowd,
entertainment.
because there's a lot of Black women that lost their jobs or were impacted financially, and that wasn't supported and have supported for years. It's definitely not in shambles. I mean, this is an institute, and one thing we definitely have to be careful of, our institutions, every time something doesn't look right, we want to run to the new shiny thing. And that is very dangerous, because when we do that, we lose who we are in terms of our culture. And when we start adding all these other things, trying to make it something new, like Essence has been a staple. I guess it's kind of like growing up. I know you was talking about the crowd and the demo. It's kind of like when you were a kid and you had to sit at the kid table at Thanksgiving. And when you got old enough, you went to the big people table, the adult table. That's how Essence has always been. When you get old enough, you get auntie status, you go into Essence. You want to go there. So I don't think the crowd want to hear the necessarily younger acts, because again, you mixing that stuff is you're gonna lose your key demo. That's your key demo.
And that's the thing, y'all not listening to the people. Like, the people are literally threading, tweeting how they're feeling, and y'all like, it's not in shambles. Like, these people would not be saying their disdain for the festival and what's going on. Not that it can't get turned around, but that's the I think that's the gap.
But
This is what Essence Fest is. Hold on. Let me finish what I was saying. This is what Essence Fest is. Yeah, this is what Essence Fest was, and that's fine. But y'all are talking about the new acts. If people are coming in as the new aunties and whatever, then those old acts still don't count, because you have new people who now are nostalgic acts are not the same as the older generation's nostalgic acts.
Before we shift from that point, I agree with her, because I got to tell you guys, I got invited to the BET Awards last year from Darius Love. He did the Nickelodeon stuff, like one of my closest friends. He said, "Oh man, bring Yummy there." Just like BET, I'm not going to BET. I literally went to another event in LA while the awards were actually going. But this past BET, it was incredible to me. And guess where I watched it from? Casanat Stream. I didn't tune out one time. Like they could have played a commercial or anything. Him being backstage like that every single moment was just incredible to me. And this is a person, like, that's why I would say you could even be tricked even if you know the tricks. Like, I was tricked. I was sold. I was like, this is incredible. It brought so many different people to BET that didn't care about BET prior. And here's the other part about the age thing. I do think people that's older can break through that age barrier. Kevin Hart did it. Literally, people inside the streamers, they love Kevin Hart. Duke Dennis people love Kevin Hart. Casanat people love Kevin Hart. So there is a transitioning happening. I don't think that Essence has to miss that transition, but I think we can anchor it to what happened at BET. Them letting him stream backstage like that and on the red carpet was remarkable. I literally, when it was over, I was like, damn, I just watched this kid for 2 hours. That's crazy. So it's something to that. I'm going on mute.
Hold on, guys. It's 10:30. We're actually a little past 10:30. We're at the midpoint. I already see some new faces on the stage, so I guess, Gary, you've already kind of jumped to that. But anybody who wants to participate in this conversation, ask any questions, make a comment or whatever, please raise your hands. Gary will get you up on stage. And I want to get as many viewpoints and perspectives on this call as we can. Quinn, thank you for all of your input or whatever. And I definitely don't want you to fall back per se, but I want to make sure I get some more voices in the conversation. So,
hey, question.
Y'all do y'all
Nick,
thing. Go ahead.
Nick, real quick. Let me, because it's something that I didn't ask. Anybody knows Zakiya Holland? Do y'all know Zakiya?
Of course I do.
Okay, yeah. So she, you know, Essence was like her thing when she was at Coke.
Mm-hmm.
And she was there
responsible for bringing us.
Yeah, she was there for 15 years, and she left in 2021. And so, also, you got to see sometimes those types of relationships. Like, if someone was over SSS for 15 years, and that was her thing, and she's gone, who took that over from Coca-Cola and helped market and brand this thing and make it what it is? And so sometimes those transitions to people that work closely, because Coca-Cola is a title sponsor of SSS, if I'm correct, right?
No, not me. I don't think there's a title sponsor anymore. I think that's how her part of it dissolved. And she's
not what's up, y'all?
Okay, so once she's gone, once she left, Coca-Cola was no longer the title sponsor.
I don't know. I can't confirm it or not. I don't
think you hear me right.
Huh?
I said y'all can hear me right.
Yeah, hold on, bro. So, but what I was saying is that that shift also could have a very huge impact on the way that event is run, because she was the head of experiential partnerships and all that kind of stuff.
So they are actually the title sponsor. They still the title sponsor.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yeah.
My name's TC. I do events for a living. I just signed the UBS Arena in New York City. I'm not supposed to announce that yet, but UBS does the VMA Awards, and I work with a lot of promoters and event related professionals. And there's two things that I would say contributed mostly to kind of like some of the challenges that Essence is facing. Number one, they're competing with a major event day. Timing is everything when it comes to events. They're competing with July 4th. And when you're competing with July 4th, you're competing with a lot of other demand for top tier acts and top tier, personalities to exactly. You're competing a lot. I think if Essence is going to make a pivot towards like trying to attract a larger audience and get more value ROI, I think the first thing they need to look at and revisit is that competition with the 4th of July. I would like to see Essence Fest do something a little bit closer to Juneteenth. Maybe that might be a good
That's a great idea.
synergistic. Yep, that would
That
be
is a great idea. I like that.
Yep, that would be a great synergistic shift. It's really difficult to compete with 4th of July because you've got events happening in all major cities. Every major city around the country is putting on concerts and doing fireworks shows that Essence, let's just be honest, probably can't compete with, especially next year. So if they're thinking about a pivot, next year would be the year to do it because you have the 250-year anniversary next year. Everybody's spending money to have the biggest event for the 250-year celebration. So that's number one. Number two, in terms of timing, again, I think timing is everything. If we were going to look at a time frame that makes sense, I would do it closer to, and y'all just brace for this, probably something related to tax holiday, right? Closer to April, people are getting their tax refund checks. We know that a lot of women, particularly single women, go to the Essence Fest. They would like to be in proximity to a lot of the entertainment and culture elites that exist in our community. I would do it around some sort of big financial holiday that gives people an incentive to spend their money. Again, just thinking from the lens of perspective of promoters and event-related professionals, they like to do events around big like payment periods. And so those are the two perspectives I would give.
Blessings, bro. Thank you. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, great call, bro.
Yeah, I'm TC Cuthbertson. I'm the CEO and founder of I'll Go. We're an events booking platform out of New York City. I also operate out of Philadelphia, and we basically drive experience-based group experiences through our platform. We have venues listed as large as now UBS Arena. Again, not supposed to announce that yet. As small as private villas in Cancun, Puerto Vallarta, San Miguel, Allende, Mexico. So. I do events and I do group experiences.
Blessings. Hey, bro. Atlanta is open. Thank you for jumping.
I'm coming to Atlanta soon.
Peace. Thank you. Neo, welcome to the call. Tell us where you're calling from. What would you like to add to the conversation?
Yeah, I'm here in Atlanta, and I just wanted to add on to what he was saying because I see fan base being a part of that. The whole fan base Essence experience, along with that marketing or what he was saying, that would be something that's especially being part of the millennials, and it shouldn't be hard for the Essence to pivot. So that's where I'm at with it.
Blessings. Thank you for that.
I think bringing it to Atlanta would be terrible because Atlanta.
I like the idea.
It's not a walkable.
I think but
it's not a walkable city, Nick. That's the problem. It's not a walkable city. Like New Orleans is the French Quarter, and
I don't know if you want to move it, but I do love
What's wrong with Florida?
It's not. I don't think. No.
Or is that a dumb question? My bad.
I don't think Atlanta's not a walkable city. The traffic is still a huge issue here when big things come to town, and I just don't think it works the way it works in New Orleans. We can kind of park up at the W or whatever and just walk the French Quarter and walk to the convention center and so on. I think logistically, it just doesn't work. For what Essence is,
and what people have come to know it to be.
Yeah, exactly what people have come to know it to be.
Yeah, but we don't want to lean on too much of what, like legacy is great, but you can't lean on legacy if it's going to keep you from pivoting and moving forward and having equity moving forward. Like the whole thing is like, how do we keep Essence equity moving forward? That's why I'm asking. Get into
we have to entertain the fact that it may not.
But I don't think New Orleans is New Orleans in and of itself is part of the problem. There's clearly crazy issues that need to be addressed, but I haven't, my little teeny bit of research, I haven't heard anybody say the problem is that it's in New Orleans. I don't think that's what it is. It's other stuff. So I think moving into Atlanta would be, or any other city. I don't focus on just Atlanta. Moving to any other city would just be a drastic move and would change the total tenor of what Essence is.
That hold on, that thing that so what they're building at Centennial Yard is that walkable section of Atlanta
That's what I'm saying.
that
Like,
you're talking about. They're building that, and that's what it's going to be. There's going to be another arena. There's going to be another arena similar to the Sphere, but it's not going to be. It's not going to look like, but internally look like the Sphere down there, right next to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, State Farm Arena, and a lot more hotels and shops and all that. All that stuff is going to be walkable. That downtown area is going to be. It's called South Downtown, which is really what that whole development is about, even for World Cup. So Atlanta will that area of the city will be walkable in a few years.
But you also have to entertain the notion that it may not move on. Like it may just be for this demographic of people, and this may be the end of it. And it still has some good time left in it. So we have this tendency to believe that because something has a bad year, that is the end of it. That is part of our trauma. That's a whole nother discussion. But the bottom line is there's nothing wrong with the event other than some logistical changes that it needs to make. It had a bad year this year for some very reasonable circumstances that we can identify, Target being the one of them. Also, Live Nation has been a continual problem. Let me put that out there for people who understand music. It's hard to get artists who are wrapped up in Live Nation deals. Live Nation normally wraps up artists in deals where they can't do other things unless it is associated with Live Nation. For context, that is not a small amount of artists. There is a lot of artists who are locked into those deals, more specifically those who would be doing an Essence Fest. Secondly, Essence does not need to compete with other events. Essence is a legacy event. Other events are competing with them on July 4th. So a Juneteenth sounds great in theory, but nobody has Juneteenth off. You know what I'm saying? So people have July 4th off. They travel. That has historically been the case. That is why it is on that. It's on that day. It has been on that day for as long as anyone can remember. So,
man, this is a marketing call. So we're not even here to defend them. We're just here to talk about how to market.
No, I'm just saying what it is.
If we can come up with something dope that we can take to them as a marketing campaign, like we're solution based.
Hey Gary, one quick thing though. Back to marketing, to pivot back to marketing.
All right.
I think people need to really understand the company that is behind Essence and who owns Essence now. Sundial owns Afropunk as well. They also own a bunch of other different activations that they do throughout the year. So Essence Fest is one staple, but they also do a lot of different things. So those ideas in terms of like bringing Casanat on and other things like that, there are other opportunities for a younger demographic to be targeted, but I don't think Essence Fest itself, the actual event, is meant for the younger demo. And the other last point that I just wanted to make was that Essence Fest has been in another city before. Again, it's been in another city when there was other things going on in the country. When Katrina hit, they moved to Houston for that year, and the numbers weren't the same then. So again, you really have to take into context what's really going on beyond just the actual festival. Because marketing wise, yeah, they had some interesting things in terms of the time frame, but I think the way that they did market was really dope in terms of the production wise. But again, those are the things, marketing things that can be worked out. Those are logistical things that can be worked out. But to just scrap the whole thing and just be like, start from scratch,
we don't
that's not good.
scrap Essence Fest. That's
Right.
What happens?
Oh,
What happens to the? And then the other thing I want you to throw in there, Gary. What happens to the business, ladies and gentlemen? So just to be clear, what the brother was talking about, the Solomon Group, that's the group that produces the Essence Fest. The Essence Fest is owned by Rich. It's 100% owned by Essence Ventures LLC. He purchased it 100% of the company. It's only so long you can keep drying his well out. Just thinking from a business perspective, you keep on investing in this festival. The revenues took a big shot because of investing in this actual festival. So even when you look at the balance sheet is struggling. It's a quick chat GPT shirts, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, on theory, a lot of this stuff sounds great. We're passionate Black people and we want to hold on to stuff. That has nothing to do with the balance sheet, the cash flow statement, and the income statement. The Essence Fest has to pivot, literally. Otherwise, we'll be seeing, just like any other smart business, the thing being shut down. It has to pivot. We want to hold on to stuff so much. Cash Money Records is not coming back with BG and all of them. I'm going on mute.
I get it. So, but with regards to like the homies Quinn and Joseph are saying, with regards to Essence and its legacy, it demands its own specific, unique type of pivot.
Gary.
Yeah, I agree with that. For sure.
Yes, Essence Fest. They will. I think the only thing I have to add as far as marketing with the influencers, it seemed like I think the young lady said earlier, it seemed like influencer overload this year, and then for you to start marketing later, and it's a much younger audience. If they're going to continue with that, if that's going to be a part of the pivot because they do want to reach the younger generation, I think the only thing that needs to happen is a longer relationship with the content creators versus the one night stand influencer overload.
Straight up. So
Hold up,
thank you for that.
hold up, Gary. Hold up. One of the reasons why Essence Fest was not as successful this year as it was in previous years. A couple of reasons. Number one is the economy. A lot of people got laid off. A lot of industry people got laid off in various industries. Industry people fuel festivals because they're using corporate cards to book hotels, to eat at the restaurants in those cities, to attend all the events. That's one thing. So when you're using a corporate card, you have just a flush of cash. That's number one. Number two, Beyonce impacted Essence Festival this year. Her tickets were very expensive. The whole United States attended her tour. They dressed up for it. They did that. So if you live in Texas, Midwest, Northeast, West Coast, and you already spent over $2,000 on seeing Beyonce, you probably don't have the funds to make it to New Orleans to see Essence Festival. The other thing is Essence Festival is old from a demographic standpoint. It has to skew younger. They still book the same artists over and over again. So no disrespect to our legends or nothing. You still booking Patti LaBelle, Isley Brothers, all that kind of stuff. We love them. They're icons. They're GOATs. Those individuals who grew up on Patti LaBelle and the Isley Brothers, respectfully, are getting old. Some of those people are dying. Some of those people are just old and not as mobile as they once were 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. And they say, you know what? I'm not the same person I was at 53 that I was at 43. And I can't just move and get up and go to Essence how I want to. Or I'm not the same person at 63 that I was at 53. So you have to skew it younger. There's been an influx of R&B music from younger artists in the past 10 years that you can overload with those artists, booking them at Essence Festival, and it will bring a younger audience. The only young person I've seen down there for real, I seen Mariah the Scientist down there, but she did the Coca-Cola stage. And I seen Leon Thomas down there. He did the AT&T stage. Those are some of the smaller stages. None of those people did the main stage, the main Essence stage.
Can I speak as somebody that was here the whole weekend and was working through the whole thing?
Yeah, leader, we're gonna get you in there. Then right after you, we're gonna get Bobby and then Leonard, and then we're out of here.
Okay. So one, the marketing for Essence Fest is way too short. They don't really market the actual market where you can shop merchants that spend upwards of $5,000 to $10,000 to get these booths and bring their businesses out here to New Orleans from other cities. So that's one. If they started sharing the stories behind these companies that are coming in, that are selling, that would be a huge point, because I came out here with a client who has been out here 5 years vending. They had an incredible weekend. People were literally coming to look for them. So that's one part. Second, they did bring in younger artists, and I think by them putting them on the Coca-Cola stage and on the AT&T stage, that works for the younger people who really can't afford to buy some of these tickets that happen over at the arena. There are lower price tickets, but some of those tickets wouldn't just be feasible, and it's free to get inside the fest. They had that Coca-Cola stage packed. They had that AT&T stage packed. So it's just hitting different price points. But also, I think one of the things that happens is you have a very reactive market right now. So Target was a huge blow because people went online saying, hey, why is Target there? But I will tell you this, every single day, Target had a line in there of people going in there and getting the free products. So in my POV, Target came in there to try to appease the crowd. You know, they brought in Black business owners that still have products in their stores to have panels and things of that sort. Additionally, logistically, it's still not a great setup as far as how they partner with advertising external activations. DTLR was here with a really great Jordan pop-up. nobody knew about it. I knew about it because of my relationships with DTLR, but it would have been dope if more people had heard about that as well. Even though it was geared toward influencers, I think had they um, even mentioned it, it would show you that it's bigger than just the festival during the daytime and things of that sort. So I think there needs to be a more holistic approach to sharing the entire experience, but then also breaking it down per age group. Even if you said Friday night at the stadium, concert wise, the youngest crowd, Saturday night, the next age group, and Sunday night, the older people who could close out with a, I don't know, slower lineup.
Thank
Good stuff, Alita. As always.
Straight up.
Who else we got? Who else we got, Gary?
We got, I brought Ryan up to the stage. I want Ryan to talk because Ryan's the one that kind of started this conversation this morning on social about us cannibalizing things like Essence Fest. So Ryan's on stage.
All right, we got Ryan, and then I know we said Bobby and Lenore, right?
Yes, sir. Bobby, you want to
Somebody jump in. Go ahead, Gary. Take it.
Bobby, going once.
Hey, how you doing, guys? Listen, everybody, this is Bobby from New York City, man. Queens, New York. Everything that you guys are saying is awesome, and I think that there's a bigger issue that needs to trickle down from the top down, from Essence as a publication and what they're doing. They need to start implementing the youth inside of the publication, so that once it gets to the festivals, once the younger acts and the streamers and the influencers come in, it doesn't just feel like the one night stand like Hollywood said. It would be something that's now the transition is happening throughout the whole institution. You know what I mean? So I feel like like Skell said, the marketing, I'm chronically on the internet. I'm all over the place, and I didn't see much. I didn't see much at all. I feel like there should have been more ads through all of the social media platforms. I feel like more social media should have been involved in Essence Festival, and the axe situation is crazy, because when I seen the flyer and I saw Master P and the No Limit Soldier, I said that's cool, but and that's cool for a certain crowd, but I don't know. Like my man said, there's so much R&B that's happened in the last 10 years. Good R&B, not the rapping, singing stuff, but so much good, classic contemporary R&B that could be implemented, that could bring the younger people. I just don't understand. Like, I think there needs to be more creative marketing going on that can put together these performances, put together the weekends and who's performing on what days, and make it interesting with the streamers, like how Duran said with the Casanat BET situation. That was amazing. I'm 40 and I don't watch Kai worth a damn, but my kids do, and seeing him at BET was dope. So I just feel like there's a lot of new things that they could have implemented that they didn't. But as far as the whole institution, maybe Essence needs to start revamping from the top through the publication, whether it be their online magazine or whatever the case may be, and the different things that they do visually. And then so once Essence Fest come around, it's not strange, and like Hollywood said, the one night stand feel.
Lessons. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
For sure. Great job, Bobby.
Leonard, welcome back to the stage, my brother. What would you like to add to the convo?
Good morning, guys. If we remember, Essence core business once was their publication, print media. But print media is no longer what it used to be. So what is their core business? Is it a festival once a year that if it does well, it gets to carry them into the next year? It has to be more that they're offering to the community, because my mother used to subscribe to Essence Magazine, as well as Ebony and Jet. She's a boomer. And those folks aren't doing that anymore. I don't see those things in their house. So that core audience that supported them is getting older. So they have to transition to a new market, which involves younger people, because in another year or two, they might have to sell it off to some European company, just like BET, and it becomes garbage. None of us even tune in or look at it. But what they could do is begin to transition to an up-and-coming Black media company, i.e. Fanbase, you can change it over and they can start to tap into those new demographics that keeps it going, because otherwise it's going to die out. Some European corporation going to gobble it up for pennies, and all that legacy and intellectual property be gone forever. So they got to pivot and look who's going to transition into it to keep it life going, and so that it'll be generational. I yield back.
Straight up. We appreciate that. Ryan, good morning. Welcome to the stage.
Hey, good morning. I'm sorry I missed a lot of this conversation. I mean, look for me, we have to protect our stuff,
Sure.
and I look at any business, right, as it's going to be cyclical. There's going to be winning seasons and losing seasons. Something that I just was talking about on the internet. It's like many of us are sports fans. We show up every single season knowing that our team is going to lose, right? But like we have to play a longer term game. And all this conversation about downfall and pivot, that like we have to give these businesses the opportunity to even get to the pivots that we're talking about, which is going to require our participation, especially in a B2C business. So
Straight up.
like I was there this year. I thought it was fine, right? Did I see things that maybe could have been better? Sure, right? But we're so hyper focused on trying to provide commentary online, and this is the last thing I'll say. Strategically, that doesn't make any sense because we're having these conversations in a public forum in an anti-DEI setting where we're making it easier for the companies that largely fund the effort, right? It's not the reason why the convention center is free is because the companies are paying sponsorships. We're making it easier for those companies to pull out by this hyper negative commentary that we seem to be in love with for whatever reason. So look, it's an important institution. Sure, it can get better, right? But like all of these think pieces we need to relax, right? It will ultimately be okay. The same way half of our sports teams will be all right. And we just watched OKC win a championship after being terrible for forever, right? But like it, it's a longer term game that we've got to be committed to than what shows up online.
Right. And so with regard to that, what we're here on this marketing call to discuss, how to help support and create market that help develop, new opportunities for Essence. So this isn't,
Yeah. Respectfully, right. Like, I'm not mad at as practitioners, right? Thinking about it's cool, kind of like business case study, MBA sort of study to like think about how to do that, right? But like even some of the people that are given the commentary about Essence, about marketing, aren't even qualified to have that conversation. And I say that respectfully, right? Like we're talking about like a many decade old platform, right? And like got all these people on here talking about do this and do that, right? Respectfully, like ask questions first, right? Like many people were given all this advice, don't know the business plan, don't know how things are funded, don't know the challenges of the business, right? Like if you're going to be a person that's giving a critique, the best people that do that collect a lot of information first. We haven't even given them a chance to give us that info, right?
right.
Before we get on here and give them like 10 points about what they need to do better and how the new generation is doing that, this, that, the other. Like, do you think that those folks don't know half of what we're saying? Right? There's a big difference
I don't think they
between.
know.
We don't
Oh
know.
no!
Oh
Look,
no,
so
they're too close to the picture. That's how it always is.
Don't know.
they're not as far away as that. I think that's part of our problem, Like we
Shit.
assume that everybody's stupid. Like there's this is millions and millions and millions of dollars at stake. If you think that they can't see that younger people are consuming media in a different format, now there's a difference between being able to identify it and do something about it, right? But we have the conversation like they can't even see it at all, right? And I just
We don't have a collective problem. You just said our problem. We all come from totally different perspectives. And then the notion that a person can't have the dialogue about it is preposterous. That's like me telling everybody I'm a software engineer. That's like me saying Isaac can't have a conversation
Agreed.
about tech because he's not a programmer. That would be ridiculous. Like,
no,
like
I'm saying
so
That's
qualifications matter.
divergent
no,
thinking,
no,
We
no,
can't
no,
Stan.
even
no,
have
no. And
this
I get
call if we
no,
can't have the
I
conversations.
completely understood what you said, and I was able to extrapolate it as well through my own interpretation. I can't share your interpretation, Ryan, so mine's going to be different from yours. What I'm suggesting is, Gary was very clear. We're going to talk about ideas. When Sam Altman had announced that they were getting $500 billion for Stargate, Elon Musk tweeted expeditiously and said that they didn't have the money. They have conversations just like us. They down each other as well. It's just not in our reference point. We ask a person their favorite movie, they're probably going to say the movie Belly. they're not going to say a movie that's Silicon Valley, the TV show. So the fact that we don't see this other stuff happen in these other industries, I literally watched Carl Icahn and Bill Ackman curse each other the fuck out on TV. And I was like, that's super ghetto. You ask the average Black person who Bill Icahn and who they are, they won't even know them. I think these conversations are very relevant just for the mere fact that we live in a communications economy. That's the reason why we're able to do new things now, because we have the proliferation of the internet and being able to actually communicate. Last thing I'll say, I don't care how much history they have. Bob Johnson did something wrong where he was able to actually sell that asset. You know how I know? Because he said it. He actually said he disagreed with actually selling that asset. So I agree with what Leonard is saying. All this idea of just give them their chance. Do they actually know what's going on? No, I don't think money constitutes a certain level of IQ. You can have a lot of money and still not understand something technically. I'm going on mute.
So, like we were saying, Ryan, this is a solution-based call. We're not here to shit on Essence. We love Essence. We're here as marketing, and maybe you think this is a moot point, and maybe talking about it is for nut, but we're here to provide actual solutions because we got some movers and shakers on this call. If somebody likes something, Nick can make 2 or 3 phone calls and get on a marketing phone call with somebody and be like, hey, we had a call on Monday. This is how I think we can help. We're solution.
I mean, Nick did just present us Monday. We just raised at a $10 billion valuation, our company. So I'm sure we can make some calls and help Essence Fest out. Like I'm sure we could do something with a Black person with a $10 billion company. So like this whole idea that we shouldn't talk about it, that's our problem there. Just lay back and see and let things happen. No, we shouldn't let things happen. We should actually challenge things.
I didn't say that we shouldn't say it at all. What I'm saying is that the context and the spirit in which we're having the conversation, and like everybody ain't Nick. Right, like I know Nick. Yeah, I'm happy that Nick is making those phone calls. But like my broader point is, like most people are not Nick, and the spirit in which they're offering their commentary, it's just not. It's not in good
How do they
faith.
become a Nick? How do they become a Nick? We don't need
Listen,
a million Nicks.
ask questions and learn.
Pareto's principle, 80-20 rule, a smaller portion of society represents a larger portion of outcome. So we don't need everybody to be Nick. But what we do need is a lot of voices that can help Nick be a better Nick. I'm going on mute.
I mean, Nick is as good as it gets. I mean, we all agree that Nick is amazing. Nick is amazing.
I have no idea what that's for.
We landed at that point because I mean, it's only one of me.
Hold on. What I will say is this: we're talking about Essence Festival, but I've worked on that. So I worked on things like Complex Con. So when you use Complex Con in comparison, right? They don't struggle. They don't have the same struggles as Essence Festival, and it's the same thing. They have multiple performances, they invite influencers, they have booths, they have a marketplace for people to come purchase digitally as well as in IRL. Like, so at Complex Con in the last 10 years outside of the pandemic, they have not had an issue with attendance.
But
right?
to Ryan's point, I get what he means in the public space of like just the general public, the people who don't
Or like X.
the people who don't understand production, because I work in activation production all the time. What he's saying is if every time, right, not just Essence, if A3C, if any of these things on a regular basis throughout a year or 2-year process has people online who half these people never even attend these events, right? They just run with it because they want to have a viral moment on social media. If that continues, if that's what becomes the heartbeat of the conversation, then it ends up creating a space that's even harder to fight. I mean, we know challenges are there. We know that any people online who are like, oh, well, did you see this? And all they did was took the information from somebody else's video and made their own. It's like, it spreads like wildfire. And even as somebody who was here, it was not a bad situation. No, it wasn't what it was before, but I feel like and I hate to say it, but I feel like with Black people, it's like they're so excited to talk about, oh, did you see how bad the dress was? Oh, did you see this? But it's always a shorter conversation when there's something great and positive with what we have going on.
I think that's the key that's missing, is that it may not have been what it had been in the last few years, but I said that also in my submission as well. It may not have been what it has been in the last few years, but there are reasons to explain that. But let's be clear, it did well, it just didn't do as well as it has done prior, as we've known it to do in the past. That does not mean that there's been some sort of decline that need be addressed. It just means, and listen, inside of that, you also have things that you can immediately correct. And you can also add some new technology to those things. They need and will embrace those things. There are brilliant people involved in this process that understand what we understand. They're not paying attention to those things. So it just didn't do as well as it has done in the last few years. I would even give it the year that Girl Strip someone mentioned came out. They saw a surgence in the people that had come out. So it didn't do as well as that year, but it still did fairly well. Now, considering the circumstances, considering all the things that are happening,
Right.
a poor economy, Target being a sponsor that also shed a bad light on it, not of any real fault of their own. So it's not doing well, but I think our default is to always say, listen, if something's doing bad, well, this is indicative of an incline. We need to suggest some things that they can do better in order to improve. Well, I mean, we should always be open to things that improve what we're doing. So I think you all are saying the same thing, just at different points. But let's be clear about this. We need to do this. Just because it had a bad year does not mean that the event is in decline. That is important to identify.
People are overthinking this, right?
No question.
Hold on. People are extremely overthinking this right now. Summer Jam, for example, in New York City has always been at Giant football stadium. When the radio station seen that there was a decline in ticket sales year over year, and they seen that certain things were happening, they moved Summer Jam out of that football stadium and put it inside of a basketball arena and sold the basketball arena out. They have Essence inside of a football stadium, inside of the Superdome. If you move that same crowd that was inside that Superdome and put them inside the Pelicans arena, that arena is sold out. And it's different optics. And then people are saying, oh my God, look at Essence. It's sold out. It's amazing. So that's the thing. And it has nothing to do with Target, that reason why the attendance and stuff like that is low. I don't care what nobody say. It is directly connected to Beyonce going on tour 3 months in advance before Essence Festival, and hundreds of thousands of consumers spent upwards of $1,000 to $2,000 to go see Beyonce. Beyonce shares the exact same demographic as Essence Festival. So if you have to make a decision in a poor economy to say, I got $2,000 to my name, I'm either going to go to Essence or I'm going to go see Beyonce. 90% of those people are going to say, I'm going to go see Beyonce. If Beyonce didn't go on tour this year, I guarantee you that the attendance will be increased at Essence right now.
Hey, I got a quick question though. So, hold on, because it's 11:07. I know I got to jump. I do want to say a couple of things before I jump off the call, because Gary, I don't know if you got the time. You may want to let the conversation continue to go. I see Dean is now the master moderator. And feel free, like I said, I open up this room to have dialogue like this. First, I want to shout out Quinn. I want to shout out Ryan. I want to shout out Joseph, Duran, Lenore, Alita, who I love when you jump on this call. Like, there was a lot of smart dialogue that was here today on this call. And I will say this, because I noticed just from Ryan and Quinn in particular, when we say words like it was in shambles or it was it was bad or whatever the case may be, I think that's more so what they're cautioning on in terms of the language. Words mean things. So when you kind of push the narrative that Essence Fest was in shambles or Essence Fest was terrible or Essence Fest, whatever, that narrative will carry if we're not careful. So but I also respect Gary, and I love Gary for this, for always trying to steer the room in the way of hey, we are trying to come up with solutions. This is not about shut down Essence Fest, ban Essence Fest, down with Essence Fest. It was about, let's have a conversation on maybe what can be said or done differently moving forward to help enhance, pivot, whatever word you want to use, to make this a thing that sticks around for a while. This is a brand that's been in existence since the late 90s. So we have a legacy institution in the Essence Fest that has done well for a long time, and there's no reason for it to stop now, even with the transition with musical taste and all of that. So Dean, feel free, keep the conversation going. I gotta jump. I thank y'all for jumping on this call. We do this call every single Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. ish, as y'all see. But I appreciate all of y'all. I'm gonna jump.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Nick, I'm gonna message you.
Absolutely.
I gotta send you the packet. It's a package for tomorrow. I'm gonna send it. I'm gonna message you.
Please do.
And let me put this.
Keep it rolling, bro.
Yeah, let me put this in the air as well. And Duran and I were just talking about this in the chat as well. When you hear what sounds contentious on stage between brothers, I love every one of these guys. I know them on stage. Well, not everyone, but most of them I know. I can call them on the phone. When you hear ideas that are contentious, it don't mean that I'm screaming at people or that I don't like people or that I can sometimes disagree with your opinion. I want people to disagree with me because that is how I learn. I love learning. I prioritize it. So, and when you hear something that sounds contentious, it doesn't look like we're shooting down each other's ideas. That's how the process of finding things out and making things work. That's how it works.
Absolutely.
So I just need to make sure I put that out.
We gotta make sure that we can understand like the times we're in, and the reason why I was saying that earlier, Brother Quinn, because I literally have a 20-year-old, a 19-year-old. I have a luxury of being 39 that had kids early. I have 8 kids when it'll be 9 in October, and 5 of them are teenagers. My daughter's driving now; she has her own place. So alienating her in dialogue is not going to be the proxy to actually getting her to come and be involved in something, because at the end of the day, Casanata is a celebrity. I'm not saying he's the solution. I think he's just an anchoring reference, Quinn. So I think that's why a lot of us saying his name. But
Absolutely. No, I totally get that.
yeah, imagine telling Kai, hey, yeah, we got to diss his legacy. That's it. He doesn't give a shit about that. Like, dude's making 40, 50 million. In his mind, if you spark him to be arrogant, then it's going to be a different level of arrogance. So I think sometimes we have this default in our community. Oh, that's the OG. It comes from our household. Shut up when grown folks talking. Get out of this kitchen when grown folks are here. Like, that shit is stupid. A lot of that stuff, I told my mother, I said, Mom, I love you to death. That's why we moved to LA. But you're not going to regurgitate that stuff you said to me, to my children. They're not growing up that way. They need to be able to go and compete against Bill Gates' kids. So with all due respect, don't do that in here. Just, I love you. I love you all the same. You gave me life. So the whole notion that the dialogue is going to change, you got to be very careful, because if we make Duke Dennis and all of these individuals arrogant, they're going to turn the entire internet against the legacy Black community. That's not the solution.
All
We have to
right.
open. It sucks that we're in a world. Literally in our press release, Brother Quinn, 3 years ago, we would.
All right. So I'm only doing this an hour, so the hour is up. I appreciate the ones that actually joined my Memoirs podcast live, streamed on Fanbase using StreamYard. I want to shout out the individuals that joined my live. I appreciate you for coming in, checking out the Monday Morning Marketing. This happens every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Nick Love and friends, they get together, talk about current events and all of that other things when it comes to marketing, what that looks like. Today, they were talking about the marketing of Essence Fest and how it could have, been some improvements. I know I didn't know about it, didn't hear about it. I've been on the airwaves, didn't see it too much in social media spaces. I know timing's critical. A lot of people talked about the timing wasn't right. I had some people in the chat having some good comments. Shout out to Ty Norman. He always has great commentary. Shout out to Tam. She always has some good input and feedback. And maybe next time I'll read out some of these chat messaging to shout out the people that love to chat, love to write. So shout out to Darasco Run for joining the Instagram live. Shout out to Blunts BS. I won't say the full word, but Blunts BS 312. And shout out to ARJUN7012 for joining Instagram live. That's all for now. See you next time. Thanks for listening.